Hi guys, so for today we're going to be looking at Centurion. Why? Because she's currently on a split banner, and even though I've said please don't pull on that banner, some of you unfortunately have gotten her from that. I'm so sorry, but also I'm not sorry because she's actually a pretty great character. So if you don't know how to use her, if you don't know what to do with her, this is why I'm making this video basically, because honestly I've had Centurion for almost a couple of months now and I've not really invested into her. I've not used her very much. I'm quite a sweetheart main, to be honest, if we're using beast characters, but I thought, hey, let's get into Centurion. Let's do this together, shall we? So Centurion's a main DPS. She's quite a selfish DPS, but also she's a self-sustaining DPS, and we love that. We love strong women. Let's look at her kit. Her first incantation, Outdoor Superstar. It's a mass attack. It does a decent amount of damage, but from level 2 and level 3, this is where you want to start stacking her on level 2s and 3s, because she will gain 1 and 2 Moxie, depending on this, because this is going to start to lend into one of her playstyles, which we'll talk about soon. Her other incantation, Victorious General, it's a single target attack, and depending on the level, it's going to grant extra damage dealt depending on how much Moxie she has. So even at like 1, like if it's just a level 1 incantation, it'll deal 180% reality damage, plus if she has 5 Moxie, she's gonna get 8 by 5. So what's that math, like 500%? We don't do math at this channel. And so that's going to be one of her playstyles. As you can see from just her 2 incantations, one of her incantations gives her Moxie, so she can quickly gain Moxie, and then the other one rewards her for having more Moxie. So there are 2 playstyles. One that uses only her skills, and then the other one will be like Moxie Rush to use her ult. And it's like a ult spamming character. And her ult is a reality show premiere. It's a mass attack. It deals an okay amount of reality damage, and it inflicts 1 stack of weakness into all of the enemies, and weakness is a damage bonus minus 25%. So it's a bit of defense for your team. But because it's not an amazing multiplier, depending on how you're going to be the content that you're playing, you might want to actually hold the ult and not use it. She's one of the only character, she basically is the only character that you want to do this with. If you use her Victorious General instead, when she's got 5 Moxie, she's going to be doing a lot more damage. And her Insight 1 further kind of encourages this. So for every Moxie owned, damage dealt plus 6%. So obviously, once she's got 5 Moxie, she's self-buffed herself. Self-buffed herself sounds so strange to say, by 30%, which is great. It's basically a free pickles buff. So Insight 2, critical rate plus 10%, because you want her to crit. And that's when she enters battle, so this is not going to be reflective in the personal stats. And her Insight 3, when the caster loses Moxie, HP plus 20%, plus max HP by 20%. So that means when she uses her ultimate, she's going to heal herself, which is really great. So you do want to get her to I3. But of course, she's a DPS, so you do want to get her to I3 anyway. There's 2 playstyles, skill spam and ult spam. How you're going to determine which playstyle you want to go on is depending on the content. If it's a single target boss, don't bother using your ult unless you need healing. Just use your skills because they're going to do more damage. But if you have a lot of enemies, if you've got like a boss and the minions and you have to get rid of the minions first, you can switch to the ult spam playstyle, which we'll have a look at later. Now, her portraits, we're going to go through this really quickly. There's nothing like kit changing, they all just grant her extra damage. Portrait 1, Portrait 5 gives her a greater buff to her single target incantation. Portrait 2, Portrait 4 just makes her ult a little bit stronger. And Portrait 3 is weak. It's just making her her skill, her Moxie generation this one do a little bit more damage. Nothing really is amazing, so please don't feel pressured to don't ever feel pressured to pull for any 6-star portraits, but definitely don't try it for hers. They're just a little bit of extra damage. Let's have a look at her resonance, because I think this is quite important. Centurion is a character that has, as you can see, a lot of crit in her resonance. So you do want to get her to resonant 10, because I can say that even from my experience, the jump in damage that she does from resonant 8 to resonant 10 is like a solid 20-30%. If you like see here, she's got 42.8% crit rate from her resonant, plus she'll get 10% from her insight. So she's going to be sitting at like what, 70% crit. She's always going to be critting, which is fantastic. So she's going to self buff. She could be flexible for single target or for like multiple targets, and she can also like crit. She's really great. She's a really great character. So if you're a bit sad that you got her, please don't be. Plus also, she looks like Naomi Smalls, and if anyone gets that reference, God bless. Side tubes. Really, she's got two options. Her best one would be using Hopscotch. It's a great generalistic side tube, but also it really works for her because it gives an 18% incantation might buff, and for every target that she defeats, her ultimate will get stronger. So this is perfect for her playstyle. The other option that you do have is the Karat of the Heart. This gives her even more crit, so you'd be pushing almost like 80, 90, 95% if you use this side tube with her. If she's gained more than 3 Moxie per round, her ult damage will increase for the next time she ults. So it's really good if you're doing the ult spam for like lots of like little minions and stuff like that. So this is a good style for this, but honestly, with Shimane being one of her best teammates, this is better on Shimane. So the only time that you would really want to use Karat of the Heart on Centurion would be if another of your teammates is using Hopscotch. That's kind of the only time, because otherwise you don't need to. I don't want you to build this side tube just for her. Just use Hopscotch. And you know what? If you don't have either of those, the generalistic one is his Bounden Duty. You could use this on any DPS character. Any character can use this. It's just a good 12% damage buff, and when she defeats an enemy, she'll heal a little bit. So she's a really great character, and even just as I've been making this part of the video, I've sold myself on her even more. Let's have a look at some teams. And one thing that I'm going to note though with Centurion, before we even get into teams, birds, Australia, come on. Because Beast is strong against Plant, you're going to be doing a lot of battles where the enemies are Plant are Flatus. Plant is strong against Star. A lot of Star characters are crit enablers, so you don't really want to mix Centurion with a Star team. So I'm not going to be recommending that. So you're not going to be seeing Centurion and Toothfairy, because I don't think that they're very good enablers. And as you can already see, Centurion's at almost 80-90% crit by herself. Yeah, let's get into the teams and stop rambling. So the first team that we're going to be looking at is Centurion with her match made in heaven, Shimane. Shimane and Centurion are both rapid, ult, rushing type of characters. Plus, here we're using Dali Clatter as a healer for the team, but also as someone that will assist with Moxie gain as well, and also damage. He's so great at damage buffing. To be honest, Dali Clatter and another character you're going to see later is going to probably be replaced with Desert Flannel as soon as she is out at the end of this week. But for now, let's use DC. We love a 3-star if we can use a 3-star. Centurion and Shimane work really well together, because Shimane's defense down for reality damage is so great for Centurion. Honestly, any character is great that can offer defense down for Centurion, because she buffs herself so much that any type of like penetration rate or defense down is really great. So you could slot in Bicorn Bloom instead, or even Diggers if you don't have Shimane. The next team is another type of sustaining team using 3 stars that I really think we need to give some love to those 3 stars. Leilani, because she's the queen of the 3 stars truly, and her sister John Titor. John Titor is here to add defense, because especially in Limbo it's going to get a little bit harder. In harder stages you need more type of sustain. So John Titor's here for a little bit of damage and for shielding. Leilani, because with her ultimate she will provide Moxie +2 to all allies. So again, this kind of allows Centurion to be self-sustaining by using her ult, but using the ulting style, playstyle with this one. So Leilani and other Moxie gainers do help Centurion to get her ult back quickly. And just because Centurion's self-sustaining, you do need someone else there to kind of keep Leilani alive, and that's John Titor's job, as well as being self-sufficient for herself. Honestly, John Titor's got to get a video someday soon. But yeah, I took this team into Limbo. Most of this video is filmed in Limbo 4. The last team will be in Limbo 6, but you can put this team or any of these teams into most content and you'll be fine. So let's move on to the next team. The next team is using a full defense rather than just like slapping in a healer, because you could honestly put DK in a team with Diggers and Centurion. You could put DK in a team with Centurion and Shimane. But I want to throw some alternative teams out there in case you guys want to have alternative teams. You don't always need the meta. Just slap a bunch of 6 stars in a team, you'll be fine. But if you like shielders and if you like bet, then this is the way to go. Tenet's going to offer reality defense reduction, which is great for Centurion, and also shields to keep everyone alive. And it's also going to enable Centurion to get her, to enable her skill spam playstyle. Bet is amazing at with her ultimate. She can shield Centurion, but she can also increase the levels of her incantations, which of course, if you're running a skill spam style playstyle for Centurion, it means she's going to be doing a lot better. She's going to be doing a lot better with her numbers, with higher levels of her incantations. Bet as well, underrated character. I mean, if you've been here with the channel for a while, you know that. And same with Tenet, they're great. And honestly, Centurion kind of surprised me with this. So one other tip to her thing, usually it's quite blasphemous to use a skill before an ultimate, especially, but Centurion, please don't feel bad, you're allowed to do that with her, especially if it's the bonus Moxie damage incantation. Let's move on to our next team. So our next team we're going to be looking at has a full self-sustaining DPS trio. So we're using Pavia as a dual beast DPS, and then we've got Mondlik in here because Mondlik offers defense reduction with their silver bullet. So that's going to help buff Centurion, and Pavia is just going to be Pavia. He's going to do damage and then heal himself. This team was a lot of fun. It is just all damage. There's no real, honestly, there's not much strategy to this team. You just attack, and then they're with each of them, Centurions and Pavias and Mondlik's ult. When you get their ult, that's when they when they heal. So if you particularly need that character to get more healing, kind of focus on their incantations and go from there. But yeah, this team was really fun. You could slot in Eternity, you could put in Calaborna, you could put in any type of self-sustaining. I actually kind of wanted to run in Miss Newbabble instead of Mondlick, just as a shielder and a follow-up attacker. But I just figured that if I just did another clip of Pavia and Centurion and one different character, it would be a little bit monotonous. But yeah, honestly, these team guides are just an example of getting your imagination going. Now this is Limbo 6. This Limbo has a really fun kind of boss, I guess, at the end, where what you want to do is make sure that you're going to want to 6 has 2 like minions, an odd and an even. You want to get rid of the odd and then let him have 2 even minions. That's going to be 15 and 15% damage reduction that he damage dealt, I guess, from him, because otherwise he's going to do a shit ton of damage and you're going to have you're going to be on struggle street, especially with Leilani in the team or a 3-star. But yeah, so you want to focus on defeating the odd first and then have 2 evens, and then once there's 2 evens there, focus all your damage onto 6, wipe him out, and then get rid of the minions. I wanted to showcase this team because it was really fun, and of course Necrologist is great in any team that she's in. She offers kind of like a safety net and also decent healing, but also I wanted to showcase Medicine Pocket because I kind of often forget Medicine Pocket because they are such a great healer. They offer damage dealt, like buffs to your own characters, and the healing is just so comfortable, especially for Limbo 6. And they work really well with Centurion as well. It kind of enables both playstyles. But I found that Centurion in this really just quite surprised me, and as watching throughout this video, like watching kind of like getting into playing her, I understand why when the game first came out people were re-rolling their accounts for Centurion. Personally, I'm not a re-roller. I just kind of take whatever I get, and you do you if you did that. But I kind of get why people wanted to re-roll to get her. My starter 6-star was Eternity, and she's great. She's been power crept, but also this whole game's that's a whole other story. Don't get into it, Luke. But yeah, I can see why people really enjoyed Centurion and told you to get her at the start. But for me, I'm kind of enjoying picking her up now, like 6 months into the game, and kind of being like, hey, you know, she's great. She's not as strong as Calaborna, and of course there's GU coming out soon, and of course now Esparta Dia. I mean, she's not going to be the top tier DPS, but she offers so much comfortability with her self-sustain that, like, it's so worth it to run with her. And she's really comfortable to kind of, to be honest, I kind of see what I've learned even myself while making this video is that she's a really solid neutral character, if that makes sense. You could slot her into any team. She could be the 4th slot in any team, and she's not going to upset the team. She's not going to piss anyone off, and she's also probably not going to die. She's going to be there, she's going to do great damage, and she's going to look great while she's doing it as well, because she's fabulous. I think that's all I really have to say about Centurion. And get ready for Ezra and Desert Flannel. Desert Flannel, I fucking believe she will be what Centurion needs. Anyway, that's enough. Goodbye. Oh, and remember, if you stay all the way to the end, I will open a Discord at 1,000 subscribers. Bye.